Good afternoon. This is your captain speaking.
All right. Thank you, Suzanne, for coming on for another episode of Tuesday's Tips. Today, we're going to talk about closing cost credits and how big can they be? Can I have a $100,000 closing cost credit? Couldn't really tell you. That's not what I do. Suzanne, what do you got for us? What can and can't we do with closing cost credits maximum, and what can they be used for?
Yeah, certainly, Jeremy. So if it's an FHA loan, maximum amount that a seller can cover is up to 6% of the sales price. And I'll go through every product for you. For USDA, it's what's deemed reasonable. So USDA doesn't really have an amount as long as it's deemed reasonable. VA, it's up to 4%. And then with conventional financing, if the person's putting less than 10% down, it's 3%. If they're putting at least 25% down, then it's 6%. And if they're putting 25%, greater than 25%, then it's actually 9% can be allowed as a closing cost credit. What the closing cost credit can't do on any of these products is cover any of the buyer's down payment. So it cannot go towards the buyer's down payment, but it can cover the lender costs, the attorney costs, the titling costs. If it's a government loan, FHA with the upfront PMI, it could cover the upfront PMI. Mm-hmm. It could cover, I did say points, it could cover the appraisal fees. So, it can cover quite a bit of items. And so hopefully that helps you.
It does. It helps out a lot. So I think one of the biggest takeaways, besides the percentages, which is awesome, thank you for just rattling through those, that was great, is that just make sure you remember, folks, you cannot use it for your down payment, but there are a lot of other costs associated with purchasing a home and getting the loan, and there's plenty of things that can be used for. So, that's a pretty useful tool. And as an example, I'm just going to throw it out there. Suzanne and I were talking a little bit prior to recording. If you had a $370,000 house and you were able to use one of the products where you could have up to 6% in closing costs, that's $22,200 in closing cost credits that you could legally get if the seller would give them to you on a purchase price of $370,000. So, it can be a pretty big number, depending on what you're doing. But full disclosure, as someone who primarily focuses on listings, the larger credit you ask for, in my experience, the least likely you're going to have of getting your offer accepted. So talk with your favorite mortgage lender and your favorite realtor to come up with what you can afford and what the best offer looks like that you're going to submit, because you can't just be like, well, I'll just pay an extra $10,000 and I'm going to ask for $20,000 in closing costs, and you're going to hurt yourself in the long run by not ever getting your offer accepted, or most likely not getting it accepted.
You bring up an interesting point. As a listing agent, what makes a listing agent be more nervous when you're conveying those offers to your seller? Like, what are some of the red flags or things? Because I think from the buyer's end, they might feel like, hey, I'm working my butt off. This is the home that we love. I can envision raising my family there. Like, what are those behind the scenes reasons of why, as an agent, you might advise a seller what's a stronger offer versus this offer with all these credits?
That's a great question. And I'm going to bring up two major points. One, generally when people are asking for closing cost credits, they'll raise their offer price. So let's say the house was $300,000. They'll raise it to $310,000, their offer, but they're going to ask for $10,000 in closing cost credits. So from a seller's perspective, the net offer, what you're really offering, is basically $300,000. So let's say you offer that and someone else came along and offered $300,000 with no closing cost credits, and the financing, the types of financing products seem similar, down payment seems similar. The reason why we're going to go, or most likely going to go with the $300,000 offer, is the house only needs to appraise for $300,000, not $310,000. Now, there are appraisal gaps and things like that, but if you're raising your offer to get the credit, there's a pretty good chance that you don't have a lot of down payment money, so that you're not going to be able to close that appraisal gap. So there are other things involved in that. So basically, we want to take the highest offer that has the least amount of credits, because we want the lowest possible appraisal price that'll make this work. If I explained that right, I kind of did a little this and that. But anyway, if in the number 2, if you're asking for a lot of closing cost credits, it's a red flag that maybe you're teetering on what you can and cannot afford for this house. So that throws up a red flag, like, even if we accept it, if we go down this road, God forbid some minor little thing happens in their life and they have to spend some money, are they now not going to have the money to follow through and close this loan? Because from the time the offer is accepted until we close can be 30 to 45 days on average. So that's a red flag too. So is it common to ask for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000? It is a little bit less in the market that we've been in, but they are coming back a bit. You know, now that the interest rates have gone up and the market softened a bit, you know, we are seeing the credits come back and offers accepted with those credits, but not $10,000, $20,000, you know, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000 is on average around in this area, Rhode Island, nearby Mass, and Connecticut.
Makes sense. Yeah, thanks for clarifying that from the realtor's perspective.
My pleasure. All right, so I think we've covered a lot today. It was like drinking through a fire hose. So the beauty of this is you can rewind and replay it as much as you want, and we hope you do. However, if you still have questions, please reach out to Suzanne. We're going to flash her information right there. She'd love to help and love to answer your questions. On the real estate side, reach out to me. I'd love to help. I'd love to answer your questions. I consult a lot for people that may or may not ever be ready, but like, Jeremy, I just have some questions. I love it. I love what I do. Suzanne loves what she does. So when you call us and ask us, we get all excited, like, yes, you know, like a teacher who just, it was his first day on the job and they just want to just help. That's us. That's Suzanne. That's me. Call us anytime, please.
Yes. Thank you so much, Jeremy. It's always a pleasure.